what's up? I'm Amin Dhillon, and welcome to my podcast. I'm sitting down with the movers and shakers and the stars to chat about life, love, business, and being a total boss. It's raw, it's candid, it's the stories behind the headlines. This is In Conversation.
Ready? Everybody's recording? Yes. Audio's good? Ready? All right, folks, welcome back to the blog. I'm Amin Dhillon, and chatting with me today is the man that everyone is calling the future of Hindi rap. Mili Soch is joining me here on the blog.
How
Good
you
to have
doing?
you, buddy.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So you're originally from Scarborough, right?
Yes.
Born and raised here?
No, born in India, raised in Bahrain till I was 10.
So many places, okay.
Yes, and then came to Scarborough.
So let's actually talk about what you're known for. Desi HipHop, two very different things, but you're the man bringing it all together. So where did the idea come from?
Well, growing up in Scarborough, I went to Churchill High School, also went to Thompson.
Should we do a shout out to them?
Yeah, shout outs to Churchill, Thompson. So yeah, growing up there, it was just natural to like indulge in freestyling and whatnot. Mm-hmm. As I would do that, I would have written stuff, and I would come and like pretend it's a freestyle at that point when I just got into it. But
like
then
by yourself, you're like, I'm just gonna freestyle. This is a thing.
No, there used to be a group of people that would freestyle after school, like a group of kids that would freestyle after school.
Yeah.
But I was one of those Desi kids amongst the rest of them that would freestyle. So, and then I brought a lot of Desi audience. So after school, we'd just be smoking up, in the bus shelters.
Like
right
you do in high school.
Yes, and so yeah, I would put Hindi words into it. Mm-hmm. So that's when I realized, like every time I would drop a punchline with a couple of Hindi words, I would see people, like kids that understood it, it'd blow their minds off. So that's when I figured, okay, you know what? Let me just try to elaborate more, write more verses in Hindi rather than keep it predominantly English, for instance. Again, it was just a hobby, but then in 2005, I ended up going to India with my family. Mm-hmm. One day I just woke up to Bohemia on MTV, and my brother just wakes me up. He's like, listen, wake up, listen to this. So when I watched it, that's when it kind of gave me hope that, you know what, I could actually do this as a career, and instead of just a hobby, I could actually move it to the next level. And again, thanks to Bohemia, that, he made me realize that. Yeah. So it started from there. Again, I was just perfecting my craft and whatnot. After that, I ended up coming to...
Back home. But wait a minute, when you decided that, hey, I'm going to turn this into something, who did you tell? Did you tell your parents, your brother?
I just told my brother, and I used to just work on it. Like,
and your brother was like, do it? Or was your brother like, nah, be a doctor?
He would always like encourage me, like, let's do this, like, do this, Yeah. And every time I would drop something, he would be my critique. He would be like, no, this is crap, or, oh, this actually sounds good. And at this point, no one was doing it really in Punjabi or Hindi. It was just Bohemia. Mm-hmm. And this is when we just heard of him. So after that, when we came back, so it was just me and my brother that came back to Canada. Mm-hmm. So my parents ended up staying there. We had to come back. And I started taking it a little more seriously. Mm-hmm. Started going to an actual studio, recording stuff, and just putting it out there. In the meanwhile, my parents ended up getting a divorce when they were back home, which
that's hard.
Took a while for them to even come back. Like even for my mom to come back took like about 4 or 5 years. So in the meanwhile, there's no way I could have went to college. Mm-hmm. My youngest brother had come back to Canada so he can finish his education as well. So so I just, all my stress, all my depression, everything would go into music, and I would just write a ton of music. During which time I met a friend at that time from high school, who was already doing, like he used to rap in English, and he was involved in the hip-hop scene. So we decided to, okay, you know what, let's do something together. And then we made an album, we threw it out. It was a producer, me doing it in Hindi, the next guy doing it in English.
So who was funding all of this? You guys just were able to get together?
We were just putting money. We were actually just putting money in together, going to the studio, doing it ourselves. Yeah. At that point, we just shot one video. But unfortunately, the entire group, we split up. So this was a while ago. Like, I was still like 17, 18. And at this time, no one else was doing it again. Like, it was just Bohemian, people like that. Actually, just Bohemia, pretty much from the rap scene. Again, there was urban Desi music happening with, you know, all these guys, Juggy D and Rishi Rich and all these guys from UK.
Yeah.
But there was no, like, urban Desi rap scene going on, you know?
So most people wouldn't think to mix it, right? Because if you look at Desi music at the time, it was very much like Yash Chopra, and rap music was very hardcore.
Right, right.
You know, so I can imagine people being like, it's two different worlds. Like, you can't.
And some people wouldn't mess with it. Some people would be like, okay, this doesn't make sense. You're trying to be black or whatever, right? Not understanding that hip hop is a culture of its own. Like, even if you look at hip hop today, there's so many different countries, so many different religions that has taken into the culture and made it their own as well. You know what I mean? So yeah, so the whole, you know, the whole group split up, and after that I was just doing my own thing. Couple years later, I was just dropping a bunch of songs on YouTube, and again, they were all on industry beats. I didn't know how to fund myself, you know what I mean? So I didn't know anything about the business industry itself, the music business industry. So we ended up, so I ended up just throwing up a bunch of songs, and then I got approached by a management company.
A Canadian one?
Yes, a Canadian management company that liked what I did. You know, at this point, hip-hop started blowing up in the Bollywood sense of things, very commercial hip-hop.
Like, who was blowing up at that time?
At that time, it was Honey Singh.
Ah, okay.
Right, so Honey Singh's first material started coming out. And I recognized it, and I recognized the difference between what they're doing and what Bohemia does. You know, that it's that more hardcore, more talking about hip hop culture on its own, and us being from the West, as Desi's being from the West, right? What they were doing there was strictly Bollywood hip hop. So we're talking about like the Bollywood sounding beats, and the content itself was more Bollywood.
Which is what
oriented.
you see now too.
Yes,
like,
100%. And you know, shout outs to Honey Singh for doing it and making it more popular like that. I mean, without the commercialism of anything, what's underground wouldn't be known, right? So shout outs to Honey Singh for doing it, and they're doing what they do there, you know. At that point, so yeah, the management, everything went through, everything seemed good.
I like the keyword here, seemed good.
Yes.
Until you look at some paperwork.
Exactly. And at that time, I was a young, dumb kid, so I didn't know what I signed up for.
Did you get a lawyer?
So yes, I did get a lawyer. However,
to look over the paperwork.
Yes, but the lawyer was from their end, recommended by them.
No,
Yes.
you never do that.
Yeah, I didn't know at that time, right? Like, I didn't know anything about the business. I just thought, hey, look, there's a management trying to sign me.
Yeah.
They're giving me so much money.
They're showing you the world. They're like,
yes.
we're gonna make you a star.
And they're telling me I don't have to work anywhere. This is what you get paid every week to come to the studio.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay.
That is a dream, yeah.
You know, at that point, I'm like, that's all I need. I need to pay my bills with music, and that's what I'm doing. Not knowing that I signed my creative rights away. And they
So that means what for people that are not like that means nothing you own.
Okay, no. First of all, nothing I own is one thing. We'll get back to that again.
Okay, that's
right?
wonderful. Okay.
Yeah, so we'll definitely get back to that.
Yeah.
Not owning any of your content.
Yeah.
But that's one thing. That's what most artists what they go through. Number two was I didn't have any creative rights in the sense of saying I want to sound like this.
Yeah.
Sit with the producer and be like, I don't want my beat to sound Bollywood, for instance. I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? I mean, if I'm working with Bollywood and
like a collaboration.
that's a different story, right? But to put me as this, package me as an artist that's a Bollywood hip hop artist like Honey Singh, for instance, I wasn't down for that because I felt like I was going to look like a gimmick. And that's when I started understanding the business of the music itself and what packaging meant to an artist, and how do you package an artist, how do you make them sound, look, everything, right? I had no say, which made us drift apart from the management, right? At the end of the day, what happened was I wasted, I think, 2 years of my life recording a bunch of songs.
But you were getting paid this entire time, right? They were taking care of you?
Yes, they were, which backfired as well, right? So when I wanted to break away from them and wanted nothing to do with them, I had to pay them back. And was part of my contract, yes.
Did you know that?
So at the time, I knew it, but I didn't anticipate that this was going to happen. right? So 2
So
years.
you saw it when you signed it, but you're like, oh,
Yeah,
it'll be
I
fine.
thought, hey, they're giving me an opportunity. They see
Yeah.
talent, so they're not going to stop me from doing what I need
How
to
much
do as an
money
artist.
did you have to pay back? Ballpark it.
About
'Cause you're still-
25 grand.
How much?
25 grand.
So at this point, you were 21, 22?
About 23, 24.
Yeah, still so young.
Yeah. So, well, I had no choice, you know. I mean, if I had to do the music thing, I mean, I did feel I was stuck at one point.
Yeah.
That, okay, maybe this is not the path I should choose because it's being so difficult.
Like you were thinking
To stop
leaving music.
completely, yes.
Wow.
Yes, 100%. Just because it was so difficult. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing I could throw out myself. If I did throw out anything, they would own it, right? I didn't want to do what they wanted me to do at the same time. I didn't want to not look authentic, especially when it's coming from hip hop. Singers have it much more easier, I feel. I mean,
Why?
I feel because they can always show their talent by doing cover songs,
Okay.
right? They can hit their ranges.
That's a good point, actually.
Right? They can do a cover song and they won't get backlash from it. There's no hip hop artist or rap artist that's going to come and do someone else's verse and see, look how sick I am. That
Yeah.
doesn't work.
People be like,
right? Yeah, like it's not original.
Yeah.
It's not your stuff. You didn't write it, and that's how hip hop is. That's how it's been, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to keep it more authentic to that, and I felt like at that time, okay, these guys in Bollywood are doing what they do, which is, and they're good at what they do, but this is how I view it. They sponge in hip hop music, and then they put out hip hop music. Dudes from here, when they do it, and now there's a bunch of us that do it here, right? That represent Desi hip hop from the West.
Yeah.
When we do it, we sponge in we live the culture. That's how I feel. You know what I mean? And there's no disrespect to any of them out there doing it in the East. It's just that it's more prominent here. There's hip hop more in our faces. We live it more. We talk it more, and it's just our everyday life.
Don't
right?
you also think, being Canadian, do you think the scene is less though? Because I feel like hip hop and rap is bigger in the States, and I feel like there that culture is a little bit more
Right,
supportive
right.
of it versus the Canadian culture.
Yes, 100%. Like if you're taking hip hop itself, like as American hip hop or as we know it, hip hop, yes. But you know, ever since Drake, it's been more prominent. There's other artists popping up,
yeah.
like Tory Lanez. There's Roy Woods. All these Toronto artists that are making it happen. And again, thanks to Drake, that it's happening. But when you're talking about Desi hip hop, we're still brand new. We're still
For sure.
super fresh. You know, and shout outs to like people that are doing it right now. Again, from Bohemia to Fateh, you know, Big Bird, Sonny Malton, all these guys.
All the guys that we just saw this weekend,
yes,
yeah.
exactly. You know, they all are making a noise, and people are recognizing that okay, it's happening here. However, we do have a different style than when it comes to the East. They have a different style, and that could be broken down as well. In India, so I was just in India recently.
Mumbai?
Yes, I was in Mumbai, was in Pune, was
Knocking
in
on
South
the
India.
doors, being like, hey guys,
Pretty much.
let's
like,
work
you know,
together, let me get into a movie. Because the industry there is huge.
Yes, so no, we weren't taking that route. We're doing it more. So before, when I was younger, again, when I was signed to the management, that's how I thought things worked.
Yeah.
Just knock on people's door, be like, hey, this is me, check out my talent, and
Yeah.
freestyle in front of them. And that's not how it works, apparently.
How does
You
it
know?
work?
So now everything has to be done more professionally. And that's how I thought it was before until
Yeah.
until what happened with me with the management, not knowing that I don't have any creative rights, I ended up going to school.
Which I think is interesting. Most people look at artists and they go, oh, you know, they just started, you know, rapping or singing and they got picked up and they let other people kind of manage things. But you were like, I want to take control. I want to learn everything there is.
100%. And that's because of my experience and what happened. Not knowing what I exactly signed, not knowing how the contract works, how the music industry works itself.
Do they actually teach you how the industry works? Or is that something you learn in it? Because you know how they say there's street smarts and there's book smarts, right?
Yeah, so when you go to school, you do learn the technical aspects of things, or, you know, what certain things are called and labels for certain things. And, for example, like what royalties are and the different types
Which is
of
very
royalties.
important. That
of
is
course.
where you want to pay attention.
100%. And
Make
you know,
that money.
If you're making videos, for instance, who the producer is, what does the director do, what does the DOP do, all this is taught to you. But again, when you're in the field, it's a complete different story.
Yeah.
Everything is built on relationships and what kind of rapport you have with someone, right? So yeah, it's a complete different thing. But school was great, man. Like that's what made me realize the potential I have. how to put a team together, how to actually pitch and explain your vision to a team member, for instance, for them to even look at you and be like, okay, I see the same vision, let me be part of this. So yeah, it was quite a journey, but I was glad that I was actually signed to a management before.
So you are glad that happened?
Yes, 100%, because it taught me a lot from the get-go. And
it probably turned you from like being innocent to actually being like, okay, I'm gonna now learn this.
Right, exactly.
It always sucks when you have to like kind of get screwed.
Yeah.
Like regardless if it's somebody that you know or like a management, because I think it takes your innocence away.
Of course.
Not to make it sound like all like sad and like dark or whatever, but I think it quickly makes you a grown up where you're like a kid in the business and then you become like a man where you're like, okay, like now I'm not gonna let that same mistake happen
again. And at the end of the day, it's no matter what experience we go through, the lesson is be responsible yourself. You put yourself in that situation. You can't really blame somebody. Everyone's going to take advantage of everybody. That's how the world is.
Especially in the music business.
Exactly. Yeah. Or the entertainment business in general, right? But yeah, you just have to be sharp and make sure that the people you're surrounded with have the same goals and the same vision as you. So that's
you know, it's funny, the music business or entertainment business, everyone I feel like always wants to be in it because they see the glitz and the glam. They see like people just like, it seems like the greatest job ever. But if you actually look at the dark side, most artists, before the word independent artist was like kind of a dirty word to be like, oh, like you're not signed by a major label. And now I feel like it's a smart thing to do because you do actually end up being more smart in terms of not signing away things or because let's get back to the content actually. People don't realize, I think, that when you do sign to a record label management group, you have all these people on your team that are professionals. It's less and less into your pocket, and also if you decide to, you know, retire or leave, most of the times you get like pennies from the royalties, right? Like you get more from it. We see it from Jay-Z and even 50 Cent. Like look how much money he's making in Bitcoin and in real cash. Right.
The important part for me at that time was to have creative control over my content and know exactly what I want to portray as an artist and what I feel like should represent me, for instance, right? Again, I wasn't down with the whole Bollywood stuff because, yes, I grew up with Bollywood around me in my household, but majority of my life wasn't in India. You know, as much as I'm Indian, I'm also Canadian. You know, so I'm really an Indian Canadian rather than just an Indian. So I don't relate to that much, you know, the music from there as much. I mean, I always hear it when I'm in parties, when I'm with certain friends. They love that music. I support it 100%. But yeah, that my major thing was creative control over things and how I wanted to sound on the record compared to how they wanted it to sound. Again, I felt like it was my face. I'm the one that has to carry this everywhere. So, you know, that's what pushed me to go to school and understand the business and to realize that it changes every year because of how the internet is, you know, growing in India, how the internet changes the entire game with apps and all these new ways for people to hear music or new avenues for you to, you know, collaborate with the other influencers, for example.
I've always wondered what the role of social media is like for you, because on one end, you're losing money. You know, people are no longer buying CDs and DVDs, but on the other hand, your music is reaching a much wider audience.
Pros and cons to both. To be with the label again, when we're talking, this is coming back to losing rights over your material. So when I was in India, most of the major labels from, you know, my experience over there, they want to own all your content, 100% of it. Me being burnt before the management, going to school, understanding the business, the whole point is to keep as much as you can, you know, hold your rights so you make long-term money. But in India, they don't look at it like that. It's more, it doesn't matter if it could be like Sonu Nigam, Arjit Singh, these top singers in Bollywood. They don't own most of their content. Most of their content that comes through Bollywood is owned by these major corporations.
Isn't that crazy?
It is.
Because you think they must be like killing it in money. But if they don't tour, if they don't continuously put out new projects, they actually...
Right, even with that, sometimes you're signing away contracts saying that every time you perform this song, these companies get a piece of it.
Of course,
right?
Because they own it.
Yeah, they own the music itself, so which is crazy. Again, yes, that's how record companies used to work. that's not the deal nowadays. I mean, as an independent artist, if you feel like that's the right move for your brand, for your team, then go ahead with it. Again, each individual, we know our brand the best. But my belief is to build your brand to a certain extent. If a major label wants to fuck with you, the ball's in your court. You have proved how much fan base you have gathered by yourself. Everything is numbers nowadays, so you're showing them all the numbers from YouTube, Instagram, whatever it is out there. You're showing how much pull you have, how much you've generated on your own for them to pull that backing. So the pro with working with a major label, yes, you might not own your content, you might be making a small piece of the pie, despite being the face of the brand, but they are the machine. They'll make sure that everybody knows you. You're on traditional media, whether it's radio, TV, MTV, India, whatever. And we're talking India, right? I mean, that's where the market is, the majority of the market.
Well, there's like 1 billion people, so if you're going to go into a market, why not there?
Exactly, you know, and people from here are making sound that resonates over there. And, you know, for example, again, like Bohemia, Fateh, these guys are huge there, you know. So yeah, again, it's pros and cons. My thing about the internet, it's great for independent artists because you get to come out, put out your content.
Instant feedback. They either love you or they hate you.
Yes, but also there's also a business aspect even with that. Before, when I thought, make your music, throw it on the internet, people are going to love it, that's it, you're done, right? But that's not how it works, right? Even with the internet, you have
Everyone has an opinion on the internet.
But you still have to have a strategy regardless, right? If you're serious about your music, you're going to have a strategy. You're going to have a marketing person behind it to know exactly who your target audience is, what your demographic is.
So who's your target? Who do you think are your fans?
I mean, I don't think, it's what I know from the songs that I put out,
Who
right?
is it?
When we look at the analytics of everything, it's a lot of people from here, from Canada, America, but then there's a lot of kids from, those are the hard fans.
The kids, eh?
Yeah, from India. You know, these are die-hard fans that send me my lyrics, right? They'll post pictures of me on their things, or you know, make little dance videos or whatever, and it's great, man. I'm really humbled to know that it's actually resonating. And this is the time we're just starting. Again, when I did repackage myself, so my name was owned by the management team.
Mili Soch.
No, it was a different name before.
What was your name before?
I don't want to mention it.
Yes, I want to know.
Maybe off cameras. I just don't want to give them any boost or anything from that.
Okay,
you know?
but that name's not being used,
No, I don't use that name no more.
But they're not using it to like sell that content?
They can't, because I'm not doing that anymore, right? So I had to repackage myself. When I went to school, again, I had to consult with all my professors.
I thought you were always Mili Soch.
No. I had to
Are you saying Mili Soch is not your actual name, your legal name?
So Mili Soch stands for Music is Life Inspired. That's Mili. Soch is thought, obviously, you know.
That's
so Music
deep.
is Life Inspired Soch,
Okay, but what is your real name?
It's Irfan Mohammed.
Aww.
Yeah.
So now if people see you, what do they call you, like your friends?
My friends call me Mili. That's
so I should be calling you Mili. Like if I scream out Mili, people will like assume we're friends, or will they be like, she's not close with them?
No, people who don't know me will call me with my full name, Mili Soch. People who know me call me Mili, including my childhood friends. Okay,
so if you ever see him on the street, Mili.
Mili, yes.
There we go. So you actually, when you were rebranding yourself, you literally had to start from scratch, even from the name.
100%. I mean, okay, so my name used to be Mili, used to be Mili, but it used to be Mili Act. Music is Life Inspired Actions.
He was like the Mili.
Yeah, so they owned the name at that point. I didn't know I signed that away. Had to go a bunch of consulting with, you know, industry people, professors I went to school with, lawyers, entertainment lawyers. And then, I decided, you know what, let me just change the entire name instead of trying to cling on to something, and this is a brand new me. So I changed my name.
In a way, you're very fortunate, because there's not many artists that get that chance to reinvent themselves.
And, you know, and people always ask me, like, which artist inspires me, and you know, and it's, artists inspire me for different things. Okay. Right? So some artists would be the lyrical content, some artists might be just their beat selection and their single selection. But then again, for me, for rebranding myself, I looked up to 2 Chainz, because he wasn't 2 Chainz before, and how he rebranded himself, put himself out there. So I kind of got inspired by that as well and said, okay, you know what? If he could do it, I could do it. I look at Kendrick Lamar. He had a different name before, rebranded. So yeah, I got inspired by that. I said, okay, I'm going to do this differently. The ball's in my court. I could do it how I want to.
Mili 2.0. Okay, so let's switch to the music now. So under your new branding, your very first song release was Make Her Say.
Yes, so Make Her Say was the first single. Again, despite what I learned in school and then when you're in the field with, and now you put a team together, you know, with a manager and a PR person and, you know, people
All that
who
work
support
for you.
Yes.
Yes.
Right. Or I like to say we work together.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you're not signed to a company.
No,
again.
no,
They're
no,
all-
no.
you
And
form
everything
your
is
own team.
everything is independent at this point. So people are putting their time, you know, their efforts, showing up for the same goal. So yeah, Make Her Say was one of the first songs we released. A lot of trials and errors.
Yeah.
Since then, till now, we still try different things. One thing I've learned in the industry, especially in the Desi urban industry, people are not going to help you really. Like they
How
expect,
so? What do you mean?
like if they know something when it comes to certain industry tricks or trades.
Okay, like how to get those views, or
No, not necessarily views. It's just connections and you know, how to be more different from someone else, or how to get more. Again, yes, I suppose everything falls into numbers. So yes, views do matter, and how much pull you have does matter. Nonetheless, people are not going to tell you that because they have to go through that struggle themselves, you know.
Yeah.
And we're at the same point. Like I don't expect anything from anybody. I feel like we're made a noise. People within the industry know who Mili Soch is and what I'm here to do. I mean, the first year, that's not how people looked at me, and I get it, because I've noticed how in the music industry or in the entertainment industry, people will come in, think they can do it for a year, and then change their mind and do something else, you know. And you know, and people have done this before, and I've noticed this even with like, you know, there's studios, producers I work with, studios, sound engineers I work with, studios I go to. People say the same thing, you know, because there's someone that just because they sang one song or two songs, they think this is what they're going to do forever, and then they change their mind and want to do something else, which is cool. That's why I figure people don't take you that seriously until you're more consistent with things. And yeah, now I'm glad, because since Make Her Say, we dropped a few songs. Every time we dropped a song, we learned more, whether it's the marketing side of things with the internet, or just in general, or if it's how should we put out the next song, what the next song should be, right? Fateh is dope. I really enjoyed the experience.
He seems really cool. I've met him a couple times.
Yeah, really down to earth. He's actually raised the standard for me now. Every time I work with an artist, I expect them to be like Fateh.
Yeah, because Fateh wouldn't do this.
No, he's so he's so humble, man. He's so down to earth. It's just awesome working with him, and you know, him just, you know, giving me tips and pointers, you know, because he's been in the game longer.
Of course.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
Do you enjoy working on your own projects, or do you like working on collaborations?
Well, it all depends. Again, everything is done in a business aspect of things. If it's a strategic move, you know, if it makes sense in a business sense, then we go forward with it. There's other collaborations that I do work on that are shelved. I don't feel like right now is the right time to put it out. But yeah, at this point, again, you know, I just started off not too long ago. We're trying different avenues, different things, again, different strategies to see how can we get the maximum exposure possible. And one of the things was, you know, working with someone like Fateh, because again, he represents Toronto. He's in Desi hip-hop. It is English Punjabi. I do English Hindi. Once my team reached out to his team, they agreed to doing it because it made sense, you know, both of us being from the same city and all. Again, you know, it's all strategic moves. If it makes sense for the business, we go ahead with it. If not, we wait for the perfect opportunity to arrive.
I feel like it's been such an amazing year for you already. You won your first award. So how did that feel? Yeah,
so for me, it was great receiving the award. Again, the award was for promising artist. You know, just to know that people,
they see you hustling.
Exactly, and you know, that's just a great pat on the back. You know, it inspires me, makes me feel like, you know what, if I could do just a little bit, and I'm getting some recognition.
Yeah.
Now we got to be more focused, more driven, more strategic with our planning and marketing, and how much more we can achieve. Like, again, Enoki was great. It was actually the stepping stone for us to even go to India.
Yeah.
Me even going to India, I was nominated for one of the music videos.
What?
I forgot the name. Superstar.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So it was nominated by Hungama Music.
Oh, okay,
so
yeah,
they
yeah.
work with. They have a subdivision called Artists Allowed, where it's independent artists. So yeah, initially that's what I went for. Didn't win the award, but I was nominated. I was.
But just to be even in the same category,
of course.
yeah.
And
it's
to go to
huge.
India after years and over a decade, and just seeing what the scene is like, is great. I mean, hip hop is blowing in India tremendously. And it's just like how when hip hop started in America, like everybody from where they are representing their cities and having their own sound. And that's how India is as well. Mumbai has its own sound, the guys from Delhi have their own sound, Punjab has their own sound. And then there's us, the NRIs from India, or not even necessarily Indians, just Desis in general that don't live in Pakistan, India, or Bangladesh, making noise from here, and then people messing with their music there. It's great.
It's going to be a great year for you, man.
Yeah. Looking
Awesome.
forward to it.
I can hear ya, what you say. Lately I've been working, tell them all I need my space. Yeah, keep my head down, I've been praying. Talk to God, tell me what I gotta say. Yeah, I can hear ya, what you say. Lately I've been working, tell them all I need my space. Yeah, keep my head down, I've been praying. Talk to God, tell me what I gotta say. Yeah, I've been moving, it's a race now. Yeah, they ain't moving at my pace now. Yeah.